from the blackest corners of your mind, they call, pulling you deep into shadow, twisting your senses, keeping you from sleep. It's time to face your darkest fears. This is Tales to Terrify. Good evening, children of the night, and welcome. The latest addition to our author interview series drops this weekend for supporters on Patreon. Editor Seth is back in the hot seat to dig into the methods and madness of Nathaniel Matthews Lee. You, too, can get in on the conversation by joining us over at patreon.com/Tales to Terrify. It's a great way to get to know some of the minds responsible for your worst nightmares. Check it out. This week, we have two tales for you, about how even villains can fall in love, and the dark truth about a man's childhood friend. Our first story for the evening comes from Chris Riley. Chris Riley lives near Sacramento, California, vowing one day to move back to the Pacific Northwest. He is an award-winning author of over 100 short stories and essays, as well as 6 novels. Like many authors, his endeavors in writing add a steady nuance of loneliness to his life. As such, he is more than eager to hear from his readers. Reach him at chrisrileyauthor.com. Children of the night, join me for Chris Riley's Hatchet Man, first published in Double Feature Magazine, November 2024.
Sometimes he just sits there in his shed and stares at the skulls for hours. 53 to date. That's 53 pairs of eye sockets, or miniature black holes, gravitational monstrosities that had ultimately swallowed up an infinite number of divisions from the human cosmos. Such heavy ruminations are currently wasted on him, though, as he pulls on a cigarette and observes the many sunken depths. Like a god, he blows smoke into the universe, and ponders simply what it would be like to hold her hand. He thinks this same thought and similar others on random eves, while in his truck outside the Flying J, spitting chew into a tin can. Various metal bands blare from his radio, stomping leather boots into such silent nights, and his eyes are always sharp and beady. People go missing every year, hundreds, if not thousands, and what's saying about that is that he knows he's not the only one of his kind. Of a sort, he's her guardian angel, and when this revelation had initially occurred, it summoned a rise of laughter, ending with a climactic peak so turbulent he almost spilled his can of spit into his lap. Her name is Lisa, and more than once he's considered that name. Such a common title for such an uncommon creature. His creature. So graceful with her gestures and movements behind the checkout counter. He wonders how many Lisas are in the shed. Except that they're no longer Lisas, they're just skulls, but he would bet a week's wages that there's at least one. He always buys something, just to see Lisa up close, butterflies be damned. And when he walks back to his truck, his world is a cyclone of emotion. His mind replays the numerous mental snapshots of the recent encounter, while inner voices whisper an entourage of should've, could've, and would've's. Then the finale, somewhere along the drive home. a battery of punches to the side of his own head. He is a kinesthetic learner and does not like to read, the latter of which provides a possible conflict with the results of any such profile screenings administered by the detectives of half a dozen counties. He is also a sound mechanic and owns an established reputation for reliability, as he has not missed a day of work in over 10 years. Mr. Brooks is his favorite movie, for reasons of which are many. He drinks cheap coffee in the morning, and when he takes a shit, he is quick about it. His home is a trailer on 20 acres of a southwestern landscape, and some days he fishes for trout at a nearby creek, weather permitting. The summer months provide the best season for hunting, as many solo backpackers venture into the Southwest during this time. The vast majority of these explorers will return home to share grandiose tales of their exploits in solitude, but of a few he will throttle in the night. As stated, he is good with his hands, and he demonstrates this with the efficiency at which he scalps a severed head of its outer casing, the personality, one might say. He discards such refuse on the ground absent-mindedly, while his eyes mount the glory in his palm, held slightly upon the horizon. It is, he knows, the ultimate fruit of his kinesthetic labors. "I take trophies." He said this to Lisa one evening, not knowing why. It just blurted out of him, was his breaking of the ice. She looked at him sideways, then scanned the bag of chips on the counter. "You take trophies?" she replied. "Yeah, that's why you see me here, sometimes." "What kind of trophies?" "All kinds." His palms felt like dead fish. "Whatever's in season, I guess." "Well, nothing's in season right now." "I know, just doing a little scouting, that's all." "I shot a nice muley last winter not far from here." He looked at her. "Same place I got my first one," she continued. "But that was a long time ago. You want a bag for these?" There was a pause, him still chewing on her words. "Sure, I'll take a bag." When he left, she said goodbye and told him good luck with his trophies, and his walk to the truck was electric. His mind was the chrome ball in a pinball machine, pinging from one thought to the next. His drive home lacked the battery of punches, was consumed only with an excitement of knowing that his first step was a profitable one, and more importantly, that the path ahead lay wide as the sky. He dug out his old rifles and gave them a good cleaning. In the following months, he saw Lisa 10 more times. Each time he talked a little more to her, and she was receptive. She had learned his name, and better yet, she used it, and oddly, that prompted him to go squirrel hunting. He bagged 9 such critters on his first morning out, which left him feeling rather competent. He took the heads and scalped them clean, boiled them for a bit. Then he lined the tiny craniums up on a shelf in the shed, next to all the others, finite orbs in the universe of his making. But something about their existence in the shed did not sit well with him. So he took them out and placed them into an empty planter box on the porch. A week later, he shot his first black bear. He butchered it and hauled it home in his truck and spent several hours processing the beast. He boiled the skull and placed it on the porch next to the box of squirrel heads. He also made a necklace out of the creature's claws and considered giving it to Lisa as a gift. He thought about this while packing the bear meat into his freezer. Would the necklace be too crude of a gesture? Would it lack romance? He wasn't sure, but he didn't think so. Those who pursue him have named him upon a misconception, as Hatchet Man often uses more than one means to snuff out a life. On his latest excursion, he dropped a heavy boulder onto the chest of a sleeping man, and then swiped his knife across the man's throat. The violent actions within the killing were sadly the most creative components of the endeavor, as all that followed were none other than automations under the caliber of Hatchet Man's kinesthetic proficiencies. Disappointing yet was his frame of mind while performing these routine efforts. He could not deflect his thoughts from Lisa. Furthermore, when he'd completed his task and placed the final product onto the shelf, number 54, his recollection of the entire event was as barren as a mindless drive into town. In a sense, the trophy, more than all the others, had become nameless. Her eyes lit up when he gave her the necklace. I brought you some meat also.
Holy shit, you're awesome, Lisa said. Thank you.
My pleasure. 2 days later, she met him for her break behind the Flying J. They smoked a joint together, and things went from 0 to 60 in 10 minutes of conversation. All the right words had come out of his mouth, slick as motor oil. But better yet, he let her talk, and he listened with interest. She gave him a hug at the end, asked what he was doing on Saturday, and they agreed to go shooting. The following Friday night, he sat long in the shed. The sockets stared back at him, begging the question as to what he was going to do. Would he ultimately deceive Lisa and add a new skull to his collection? An icy chill ran the length of his spine at this thought. He felt shame for even imagining such a scenario. But what was he going to do? Once again, the path ahead was an expanse so great it provoked a sense of fear in him. Adding to this was a layer of sadness he could not explain. It was a depression of sorts, emanating from within the shed. That night he threw a sleeping bag on the ground and kept a Coleman lantern on low beside the shelf. He counted the skulls until he fell asleep. The gun range was a clay culvert 2 stories high, saddled with manzanita and ocotillo, and sat roughly 60 yards behind Lisa's house. Of her house, it was a modular home with an added garage, built by Lisa's former husband. The man had died during a hunting trip 5 years prior, and Lisa's sister Penny lived with her now. These details he learned, along with certain others, as he popped rounds into tin cans, glass bottles, and while eating ham sandwiches and drinking PBRs in the late afternoon sun. He crunched dirt clods under his boot when Lisa explained she hadn't been on a date for 5 years now, almost as long as her marriage. She gave Hatchet Man a passionate kiss before he left, and when he got home it was dark. Before bed he smoked a cigarette on his porch and stared at the shed. Under the night sky, the structure resembled its truest form, the shadow of a mausoleum. Lisa's kiss was still young and fresh, swimming blindly through his mind, and for the first time ever upon studying the shed, he felt dread. What would Mr. Brooks do? The arrival of this question was where Hatchet Man gave pause. Like an inviting cul-de-sac along the path of an interminable destination, he thought he just might stay here forever. The next day, before he called Lisa, he put a lock on the shed. Then he cleaned up the trailer and made dinner. And later that night, when she arrived, as he walked out to greet her, he saw a shooting star draw a line of fire across the southern sky. In the coming months, she might ask him what's in that building, and he might reply something to the effect of tools. Or he might simply show her, and add that one there, number 42, is your late husband. After hearing the other certain details, Hatchet Man recalled the incident with the elk hunter. The man had put up a good fight. He cursed long and loud, despite having been rendered limbless and quite bloody. He was the sort of man Lisa would marry. Her reaction, of course, would then dictate the future. But for now, Hatchet Man finally understood his feelings, and more importantly, what he was going to do about them. He took Lisa by the hand and walked her up the porch. She made a copacetic comment about the bear skull, and he grinned from ear to ear deliberately. He knew she'd say something to that effect, because he was in love, damn it. He was in love.
That was Chris Riley's Hatchet Man, as read by Colin Duncan. Colin Duncan is a well-spoken man of strangely indeterminate age. He often uses archaic words and speaks of centuries past as if he had personally witnessed them. But that, of course, would be impossible. These days he lives in the Pacific Northwest, where he sells sustainable clothing by day and teaches martial arts by night. Thank you, Colin. Our second tale tonight comes from Rob Gillham. Rob Gillham is an author of weird and dark fantasy short fiction. He lives in London, UK. His writing occurs in the margins of the day, where it competes for his time with playing double bass in The Phantom Cowboys, an obscure gothic rockabilly band. Rob's stories have appeared in Escape Pod, Daily Science Fiction, and Creepy Podcast. You can find links to all of these via his website, robgillham.com. Listen with me, children of the night, to Rob Gillham's The Horrid Tale of Jeremy Timkins, a Tales to Terrify original.
Jeremy Timkins is my name. My coat is red as red can be. My eyes are keen, my whiskers are long. I'm as fine a fellow as you will ever see. The cheerful baritone singing emanates from just beyond the fence at the end of the garden, which is the boundary of the boy's universe. The boy pushes a wheelbarrow against the wooden fence and balances precariously on it. Hauling himself up until his chin rests on the top of the barrier, he peers down for the first time at what lies beyond the end of his world. At the centre of a patch of scrubland, a small furry red animal sits at the edge of a murky pool of water. The creature looks a little bit like the red pandas the boy has seen in a nature book at school, though its snout is longer, foxier. Whatever the kind of animal it is, it appears transfixed by the pool, sitting motionless, staring at the water while it continues to sing. Jeremy Timkins is my name. A-fishing is my favourite thing. All day long I sit and wait for the fishies swimming in my pool. That doesn't rhyme, the boy says. Rhyming words are ones that sound the same, like cat and hat. The little red animal raises its head to regard him with brilliant, shiny black eyes. Shows how much you know. That the creature talks is something the boy accepts without question. After all, it sings. Jeremy Timkins, is that your name? The creature puffs out its chest. The one and only. The boy incautiously swings both legs over the fence and drops to the other side. Jeremy Timkins is clearly something magical, and if books have taught the boy anything, it is that children who follow magical creatures always have adventures. I pull up at our parents' house in the rental van, humming a nameless tune to myself. I'm almost an hour late. My brother's gleaming Mercedes-Benz E-Class is parked in the drive. I thought Phil might have begun moving boxes without me, but he's leaning on his car, face raised to the morning sun. Bad traffic getting out of London? He raises the house keys, not waiting for my greeting. Let's get started. He unlocks the front door and I'm about to follow him, when I glimpse a flash of something pale out of the corner of my eye. A ghoulish face leers at me from the neighbouring house's darkened front windows. An instant later it is gone. Christ, I just had a scare, I say, following Phil into the darkened hallway. Some old nosy parker next door was spying on us. Made me jump. That's just Mrs. Dudgeon, Phil says in a reproachful tone as he turns a corner into the kitchen. What? Mary Dudgeon's mum? She still lives there? She must be flipping ancient. Phil is already returning from the kitchen, carrying a large cardboard box. Come on, stop stalling. We work methodically, clearing the house room by room. Phil has been here every morning for a fortnight, dividing the detritus of our parents' lives and packing them into boxes. Each box's destination is printed on its lid in marker pen. Keep, charity, or dump. It's mid-afternoon when we pause. In the course of half a day we've all but scoured the house of evidence that our family ever lived here. It's strange to see the house I grew up in so completely expunged of memories. The only clue that we were ever here lies in the bedroom Phil and I shared, where pen marks on faded floral wallpaper track my height from the end of the 70s through the 80s. A second set, Phil's measurements, initially lag behind mine, then rapidly close the gap as the months and years progress. Come on, there's just the shed to do. Phil is always in motion. He looks fresh, whereas I am drenched in sweat. I'm only 3 years older than him, but he's kept himself in better shape. We go out of the back door and follow the path through the narrow garden to the shed at the far end. The garden is wild, overgrown. Dad must have been in poor state towards the end, to let it get this bad. Phil doesn't look at me. Well, you'd have seen, if you'd ever visited. Ignoring him, I survey the high fence marking the rear of the garden. There used to be a genuine patch of wilderness beyond the garden, with a small pond at its centre. Fallow land between buildings wasn't so uncommon back then, but it's odd that no one has developed on it since. When did Dad have the fence replaced? It's taller than I remember. Phil gives me a look I can't read. You know when it was done. Mum and Dad replaced the old one after... you know. I'm about to say I don't know, but then it dawns on me. Oh God, of course, after Mary Dudgeon. Phil closes his eyes. Can we please just empty this shed and be done here? I have to drop the keys at the estate agent before they start showing the place tomorrow. The shed is filthy with cobwebs and accumulated grime. Still, there are only a few more trips back up the path with boxes required. Then we'll be done, and I can be on the motorway. I start humming the same tune I've had on the brain all morning. It's a jaunty thing, if old-fashioned, and owes more than a little to He Who Would Valiant Be, a staple of school assemblies at the local primary, which Phil and I both attended. Phil drops the box he is carrying with a crash. The box splits, disgorging rusty metal gardening tools onto the path. Stop that! He glares at me. Just don't, okay? He bends down to collect up the spilt implements. Are you going to help me pick these up? But I'm staring at the fence with something that feels like the beginning of a migraine brewing at the back of my skull. The tune is dancing around in my head, only now it has words, or the echoing fragments of them. Bloody hell. Jeremy Timkins, I whisper. Jeremy Timkins is not at all what the boy expected from a magical animal friend. He does not take the boy on strange adventures to other worlds, or teach him magic or anything else of practical use. What Jeremy Timkins likes to do most, it seems, is sit staring at his pond and sing. All summer, the boy has come to see the little red creature most days, and this is always how he finds his friend occupied. "What are you doing?" the boy asked, on the first occasion that he climbed the fence. "Fishing," Jeremy Timkins replied, his dark eyes not moving from the muddy pool of water. "Fishing?" the boy said. "With what? You haven't got a fishing rod." "What do I look like? A garden gnome?" Jeremy Timkins' tone was scornful. He held up his paws, with their small sharp claws extended. "You don't need a rod, when you have hands as quick as mine." He then puffed up a little like a bullfrog and embarked on a new extended verse of his song, extolling his sharp eyes and sharper claws and their efficiency when it came to fishing. The boy has since noted that Jeremy Timkins' favourite subject to sing about is himself. In the week since their first meeting, the boy has come to see his friend every day. Summer is now becoming autumn, the school holidays having ended some weeks earlier. The late afternoon is chilly, and the boy shifts his weight on the uncomfortable seat of damp bracken. "Why don't we go somewhere else? I bet you know lots of places to go." "Ah, that's the thing, see?" Jeremy Timkins' attention remains fixed on the grimy waters of the pond. "Got to stay here, otherwise we might miss the fishes." "But you sit here all day, and I've never seen you catch a fish." "That's because you aren't a fisherman like me," says the animal loftily. The boy's natural deference towards his magical friend is momentarily overcome by a defiance born of boredom. "I don't think there's any fish in that muddy old pond." Jeremy Timkins shakes his head. The fisherman knows you got to stare at the water. Stare deep into the water and the fishes will come. My mum says it's not even a pool, just a big puddle. They tried draining it once, but it came back. Now they just leave it alone. Mum says it's only a few inches deep. Look. The boy reaches out a hand to break the surface of the water. Don't do that, Jeremy Timkins says sharply. He bats a small paw on the boy's larger hand. His wickedly sharp claws graze the boy's skin. The boy retracts his stinging hand, though he has not been cut. Funny old thing, this pool. Jeremy Timkins' voice is dreamy, though his dark, shiny eyes never cease scanning the water. You stare at it long enough, and sometimes it stares back. Then you forget whoever or whatever you used to be. There ain't no time for remembering, though. If you look away for a second, you might miss the fishes. Jeremy Timkins might even have forgotten his own name if he didn't sing it to himself. And with that he begins to sing his song once more. It is a tune that the boy has grown heartily sick of, but he joins in at a glance from Jeremy Timkins. The little creature is, after all, his friend. Don't do this. Phil's face is flushed. You didn't take the slightest bit of interest in our parents for years. You only showed up to Mum's funeral because I paid for your train fare, and you couldn't even manage that much effort for Dad. Then, when I finally get you here to share one little bit of responsibility for dealing with this place, and you start bringing up all this again. Bringing up what? I stare at him, wondering how I've possibly prompted this, or whether it was bottled up so tightly that he was bound to let it out eventually regardless. For crying out loud, Phil, don't lecture me about abandoning our parents. They abandoned me when they sent me to that hellhole of a boarding school. I point a finger at him, surprised at how genuinely angry I am. They didn't send you away, though, did they? Darling Philip, their perfect favourite child. No wonder you never moved away. So don't lecture me about responsibility. It was easy for you to stay and play the dutiful son, because you always knew you were wanted. He hesitates, startled perhaps by the ferocity of my comeback. His brow furrows, making him look like our father when we were little, trying to fathom the reasoning behind some piece of childish anarchy. Don't you remember anything? Mum and Dad sent you away for your own sake, to escape the bad stink around Mary Dudgeon. They were protecting you, trying to give you a new start. September heralds the start of shorter days, and the boy shivers in his school shirt as he sits by the pool with Jeremy Timkins. As usual, they are singing. Jeremy Timkins is sulky because the boy now comes to see him so late each day. The boy explained the requirement that he attend school, but his friend appears unable to comprehend or retain this information, as they have this conversation most days. The boy did not mention that he could have come sooner, but he was playing football with his brother. He made sure to send the younger boy inside to watch television before climbing the fence. He has never mentioned his brother to Jeremy Timkins, and some instinct within the boy always revolts against the thought of involving his younger sibling in this strange little world beyond the garden. What are you doing? A girl's voice interrupts their song, which is abruptly cut short like a guilty thought. Moon-faced, braces-wearing Mary Dudgeon peers at him through a gap in the fence. I heard you singing. What are you up to? The Dudgeons live in the semi-detached house adjoining his. Mary is the only child, and also in the boys' class at school. She's a freckled annoyance who disrupts the brothers when they play in the garden. Despite the fact they show her nothing but contempt, she is dogged in her request to be included in their games. Nothing. The boy knows this is obviously untrue, but he has no prepared story to cover this eventuality. Just singing. He shifts his position, trying to obscure her view of Jeremy Timkins. She laughs. Sitting here, singing by yourself? You're silly. Jeremy Timkins sniggers. She can't see me. Stupid cow. The boy snorts with laughter, which he turns into a feigned coughing fit. Mary squints at him. What's so funny? Tell me. and before he can say no, she squirms through the gap in the fence and straightens, looking around at the patch of wilderness. My mummy says never to come here. She says the water is dangerous. Jeremy Timkins gives a low chuckle. Only for the fishies. Mary smooths down her school skirt and squats next to the boy at the edge of the pond. The ground is all wet, she says with a grimace. Then go away. The boy wishes this would happen more than anything in the world. Mary Dudgeon sticks out her lower lip in defiance. Who is Jeremy Timkins? I heard you singing about him. Jeremy Timkins slinks rapidly around the boy like a cat. She can't see me. She doesn't deserve to know about old Jeremy Timkins. He points to a fallen branch on the ground a few feet from the boy. Let's hurt her with that stick. No, the boy responds before he can check himself. Mary Dudgeon frowns. Who are you speaking to? When he doesn't reply, she rises to her feet. It's muddy here, and Mummy says it's dangerous. I'm going to tell your Mummy that you've been playing here. A sickening spike of fear drives through the boy's stomach. If Mary tells his parents, then he will be in trouble. They will ban him from playing in the scrub beyond the fence. It will be the end of his friendship with Jeremy Timkins. As wary as he is with the self-centered little creature, the thought of never seeing him again is somehow far worse. I've got an idea, Jeremy Timkins says with a grin, baring rows of tiny sharp teeth. Let's push her in the water. That will be funny, when the stupid girl gets muddy water all over her neat uniform. The boy nods. That does seem a reasonable course of action. After all, it's only a few inches deep. He clambers to his feet and holds out his hand. Wait, Mary? She pauses and looks at him, surprised. She walks forward to join him at the pond's edge. Jeremy Timkins dances around his feet. Push her in! Push her in! The boy stares at the water. Is it really so shallow? It is just a muddy puddle, but he has never tested its depths. His eyes cannot penetrate the silty surface, yet as he studies it, he has a sudden vertiginous idea that it is somehow deeper than anything. That if he were to put a whole arm or leg in it, he could never touch the bottom. In his mind's eye, the hole goes down, far down, first into darkness, then something beyond that, and on again, down until there is only a vast, unknowable lightlessness, and an awful distant hunger that can never be satiated. He pulls away from the girl. Amongst the detritus we've extracted from the shed is a wooden stepladder. Refusing to think about what I'm doing, I pick it up and unfold it in front of the fence. My foot's on the first rung when Phil grabs my shoulder. His eyes are creased as if he's about to burst into tears. I recall this look. Phil, aged 5, pleading with me, begging to be allowed to join in my mysterious trips over the fence. Come on, let's just forget about it, shall we? He says. I shake off his grip and climb the steps. I take my first look at the space beyond the fence in over 30 years. It is exactly as I remember it. A small patch of dry, dead bracken, wild plants with a muddy pool of water at its centre. I swing one foot over the fence, then the other, and hear Phil emit an anguished yowl like a distressed alley cat. I don't look back, but swing my weight over and drop down onto the far side. The fence is far taller than its predecessor, almost 6 feet, and I land with an impact that hurts my knees. I draw a breath and look around the patch of scrubland. I stare at the pond, or what seemed a pond when I was 8. It really is nothing more than a muddy puddle, though how or why it persists is a question I cannot answer. I wonder if perhaps there's an underground source of water around here, then instantly dismiss the idea as ridiculous. If there was, we'd know about it. I gaze at the trees on the far side of the scrubland that mark the boundary with the gardens of other houses. As I do, I catch something moving by the little pond in the corner of my eye. Immediately, my attention snaps to the water, but there is nothing there. My eyes return to the trees, but I keep the pond in peripheral vision. I try to look, without looking. And then, there he is. I can't see him well because I can't look directly at him. I have only a sense of something small and quite horrid. "Jeremy Timkins?" I whisper. The thing by the pond twitches. It is skeletal, like some half-rotten piece of taxidermy, coat of mottled faded red like a sepia-tinted photograph. Dry, yellowing skin shows where patches of fur are missing. Though I dare not look directly at the apparition, I have a sense of a dark recess where one of his eyes should be. "Is that you, boy?" The voice is a grating, rasping whisper, like two plates of rusted metal being rubbed together. "Old Jeremy Timkins isn't so well." "What happened to you?" My eyes are watering as I try to keep the apparition in view without looking at it directly. The mangy little figure coughs weakly. "You stopped coming to see me. Then the fishes went away. Poor old Jeremy Timkins hasn't had anything to catch for a long, long time." He pauses. "You got bigger. You look disgusting." A crunch of broken, decaying wood behind me tells me Phil has followed me over the fence. I feel his hand on my arm. "Please, come back." His voice is small, plaintive. In this place, the sound is instantly evocative of a faraway time when he was my constant shadow, tearfully begging to be allowed to follow me. When did I stop being his idol, I wonder? Was it when they sent me to that boarding school, and he became a stranger to me? Or was it later, when my own choices made me unworthy of his hero worship? I face Phil. His face is streaked with tears. "Come back. Let's get away from this place." The cadaverous thing I knew as Jeremy Timkins wheezes. "I knew this one, too. He used to watch us through the fence. He couldn't see me, though. Didn't know I'd seen him." It gives a rasping chuckle. "Used to come over when you were gone, and walk all around calling, 'Jeremy Timkins, where are you?'" An old familiar image rushes unbidden and unwelcome into my mind. Although imagined, it's a picture I carried with me throughout childhood and longer. Mary Dudgeon, face down in the pool behind our house, uniform caked in mud, drowned somehow in an inch or two of water. Then come other equally unwanted but true memories. Endless conversations with earnest adults who constantly emphasize that no one is accusing me of anything, that they only want me to tell the truth. I see the looks of my parents as they say they believe me when I say I wasn't there, that I did not push Mary Dudgeon over face down in the water, but I can detect the lie in their expressions. You know, for years I thought it was me. I'm not sure who I'm addressing as I say this. I thought I'd done it. Pushed her in. Then invented a friend called Jeremy Timkins so I could pretend he'd done it. Phil makes a choking sound. Jeremy Timkins laughs, a sound like bone being sawed through. "It wasn't all Jeremy Timkins. Oh dear me, no." Phil grabs at my shirt. Streams of tears and snot mingle on his reddened face. The transformation is complete. The years fallen away, and here we are, 8 and 5 years old again. He, the supplicant younger brother, desperate for my approval, for my love. "I saw you. You wanted to push her." He takes a heaving breath. "Then you didn't. You couldn't. I could see you hold up your hands to do it, then you got scared." He is staring at me, wild-eyed. "Mary didn't go when you left. She just kept walking around the pond calling, 'Jeremy Timkins, where are you?' So I snuck over.
and I waited till she was by the pool, and I shoved her."
He looks down at the pool, then quickly away.
"She sort of disappeared. Then I got scared. I ran away."
I stare at Phil's tear-streaked face, and I wonder at the bonds of loyalty that prompted him to do something, simply because his invincible champion could not. Something he could never allow. Then I remember boarding school, the guilt, and the appalling sense of abandonment. I recall punishments and eventual expulsion, the jobs I couldn't hold on to, and so on, down through the years, all the time carrying the burden of knowing that I was such a profound disappointment. Jeremy Timkins' voice is a hoarse whisper.
"He ruined your life. He stole it. He split us up. Then he took everything you should have had for himself. Little bastard."
Phil's face is upturned as if to the warmth of the sun, but it's gone behind the clouds. He closes his eyes, unable to bear the weight of judgment, the knowledge that he has lost his brother's love. I step towards him, opening my hands and holding them up, palms facing him.
"Push him in. Push him in."
The voice of Jeremy Timkins, my imaginary childhood friend, sounds like a death rattle.
"Oh, quick, push him in. The darkness wants him. It's hungry. Better do it now. Got to feed it before it comes for old Jeremy Timkins. Push him in."
I stand frozen in a moment of time, on the brink of something irreversible. From somewhere below, the appalling hunger in the darkness bellows, taking up the chant, echoing the words of the husk that is Jeremy Timkins.
"Push him in!"
That was Rob Gillham's The Horrid Tale of Jeremy Timkins, as read by Georgia Cook. Georgia Cook is an illustrator and writer from London. She has experience on both sides of the recording booth, and in addition to Tales to Terrify, has contributed to such podcasts as The Other Stories and The Night's End, as both a narrator and writer. She can be found on Twitter at Georgia Cooked and on her website at georgiacookwriter.com. Thank you, Georgia. Well, children of the night, the hour is late and we've run out of tales to tell. For now. Tales to Terrify is made possible by the tremendous generosity of our supporters on Patreon and PayPal. Incredible fans like Lestle Baxter, Amanda Carrillo, Amanda Gottfried, and Orion D. Hegre, whose generous support keeps these lights on and flickering ominously. If you're not a supporter, head over to patreon.com/Tales to Terrify. You'll find all kinds of perks, like ad-free episodes, bonus content, and one-of-a-kind collectibles. Every dollar goes back into this show, and we appreciate your support so much. Want another way to support the show that doesn't cost you a cent? Head over to Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and drop us a 5-star review. You'll not only put an unnaturally wide smile on our faces, but help new listeners discover our terrifying tales too. You can show your love of the show out in the world with some Tales to Terrify merch. TalesToTerrify.com/merch will take you to our TeePublic store, where we've got a great collection of creepy custom and curated designs. Tales to Terrify is produced by Seth Williams, Meredith Morgenstern, Andrew Gibson, Crystal Hammond, Spencer Disparty, and myself, Drew Sebastini, with original theme by Nebulous Entertainment. Tales to Terrify is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Join us again next week as we dig up ancient graves. for more Tales to Terrify.